Hello, hello. Welcome. I'm Menacole O'Sullivan, and today we're resuming in the reading of the lesson on the personal bank account from this wonderful book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens. So we are going to go right into the reading under the subheading Be Honest. I looked up the word honest in my synonym finder the other day, and these are a few of the synonyms I found: upstanding, incorruptible, moral, principled, truth loving, steadfast, true, real, right, good, straight shooting, genuine. Not a bad set of words to be associated with, don't you think? Honesty comes in many forms. First, there's self honesty. Is what people see the genuine article, or do you appear through smoke and mirrors? I find that if I'm ever fake and try to be something I'm not, I feel unsure of myself and make a PBA withdrawal. I love how singer Judy Garland put it. Always be a first rate version of yourself instead of a second rate version of someone else. Then there's honesty in our actions. Are you honest at school, with your parents, and with your boss? If you've been dishonest in the past, and I think we all have, try being honest and notice how whole it makes you feel. Remember, you can't do wrong and feel right. This story by Jeff is a good example of that. In my sophomore year, there were 3 kids in my geometry class who didn't do well in math. I was really good at it. I would charge them $3 for each test that I helped them pass. The tests were multiple choice, so I'd write on a little tiny piece of paper all the right answers and hand them off. At first, I felt like I was making money, kind of a nice job. I wasn't thinking about how it could hurt all of us. After a while, I realized I shouldn't do that anymore because I wasn't really helping them. They weren't learning anything, and it would only get harder down the road. Cheating certainly wasn't helping me. I love this little piggy bank that they drew as a cartoon here, right there. And the dollar bill just says, honesty is the best policy. It takes courage to be honest when people all around you are getting away with cheating on tests, lying to their parents, and stealing at work. But remember, every act of honesty is a deposit into your PBA and will build strength. As the saying goes, my strength is as the strength of 10 because my heart is pure. Honesty is always the best policy, even when it's not the trend. Renew yourself. You've got to take time for yourself to renew and to relax. If you don't, you lose your zest for life. You might be familiar with the movie The Secret Garden, based on the book of the same title. It's a story about a young girl named Mary who goes to live with her wealthy uncle after her parents are killed in an accident. Her, her uncle has become cold and withdrawn since the death of his wife several years earlier. In an effort to escape his past, he would spend most of his time traveling abroad. He has a son who's miserable, sickly, and confined to a wheelchair. The boy lives in a dark room in the vast mansion. After living in these depressing conditions for some time, Mary discovers a beautiful, overgrown garden nearby the mansion that has been locked up for years. Upon finding a secret entrance, she begins to visit the garden daily to escape her surroundings. It becomes her place of refuge, her secret garden. It's not long before she begins to bring her crippled cousin to the garden. The beauty of the garden seems to cast a spell on him, for he learns to walk again and regains his happiness. One day, Mary's withdrawn uncle, upon returning from a trip, overhears someone playing in the forbidden garden and angrily rushes to see who it could be. To his surprise, he sees his son out of his wheelchair laughing and frolicking in the garden. He's so overcome with surprise and joy that he bursts into tears and embraces his son for the first time in years. The beauty and magic of the garden brought this family together again. We all need a place we can escape to, a sanctuary of some sort where we can renew our spirits. And it doesn't have to be a rose garden, mountaintop, or beachfront. It can be a bedroom or even a bathroom, just a place to be alone. Theodore from Canada had his hideout. Whenever I would get too stressed out or when I was not getting along with my parents, I would just go into the basement. There I had a hockey stick, a ball, and a bare concrete wall on which I could take out my frustrations. I would just shoot the ball for half an hour and go back upstairs refreshed. It did wonders for my hockey game, but it was even more better for my family relationships. Ariane told me about his refuge. Whenever he got too stressed out, he would slip into his high school's large auditorium through a back door. All alone in the quiet, dark, and spacious auditorium, he would get away from all the bustle, have a good cry, or just relax. Allison found a garden on her own. My dad died in an industrial accident at work when I was little. I really don't know the details because I've always been afraid to ask my mother very many questions about it. Maybe it's because I've created this perfect picture of him in my mind that I don't want to change. To me, he is this perfect human being who would protect me if he was here. He is with me all the time in my thoughts, and I imagine how he would act and help me if he was here. When I really need him, I go to the top of the slide at the local grade school playground. I have the silly feeling that if I can go to the highest place, I will be able to feel him. So I climb up to the top of the slide and just lie there. I talk to him in my thoughts and I can feel him talking to my mind. I want him to touch me, but of course, know that he cannot. I go there every time something really is bothering me and I just share my burdens with him. Besides finding a place of refuge, there are so many other ways to renew yourself and build your PBA. Exercise can do it, like going for a walk, running, dancing, or punching a bag. Some teens have suggested watching old movies, playing a musical instrument, finger painting, or talking to friends who uplift you. Numerous others have found that writing in their journal does wonders to help them cope. Habit number 7, sharpen the saw, is all about taking time to renew your body, heart, mind, and soul. We'll talk more about it when we get there, so hold your horses. Tap into your talents. Finding and then developing a talent, hobby, or special interest can be one of the single greatest deposits you can make into your PBA. Why is it that when we think of talents, we think in terms of the traditional high profile talents such as the athlete, dancer, or award winning scholar? The truth is, talents come in a variety of packages. Don't think small. You may have a knack for reading, writing, or speaking. You may have a gift for being creative, being a fast learner, or being accepting of others. You may have organizational, music, or leadership skills. It doesn't matter where your talent may lie, whether it's in chess, drama, or butterfly collecting. When you do something you like doing and have a talent for, it's exhilarating. It's a form of self expression. And as this girl attests, it builds self esteem. You might die laughing when I tell you that I have a real talent and love for weeds. And I'm not talking about the kind you smoke, but weeds and flowers that grow everywhere. I realized that I always noticed them, while others just wanted them cut down. So I started picking them and pressing them, and eventually making beautiful pictures and postcards and art objects with them. I've been able to cheer up many a sad soul with one of my personalized cards. I am often asked to do arrangements of flowers for others and to share my knowledge of pressing pressed plants. It's given me so much joy and confidence, just knowing I have the special gift and appreciation for something most people ignore. But It even goes beyond that. It's taught me that if there's so much to just, it's taught me that if there's so much to just simple weeds, how much more is there to almost everything else in life? It's made me look deeper. It makes me an explorer, and I actually am just a normal young girl. My brother-in-law Bryce told me how developing a talent helped build his confidence and find a career in which he could make a difference. His story is set in the Teton Mountain Range that stretches high above the plains of Idaho and Wyoming. The Grand Teton, the tallest of the Teton Peaks, just 13,000 juts. I think it's the height. It's JUTS. 13,776 feet above sea level. As a young boy, Bryce had the picture-perfect baseball swing until his tragic accident. While playing with a BB gun one day, Bryce accidentally shot himself in the eye. Fearing that surgery might permanently impair his vision, his doctors left the BB in his eye. Months later, when Bryce returned to baseball, he began striking out each time at bat. He had lost his depth perception and much of his vision in one eye and could no longer judge the ball. Sad, said Bryce, I was an all-star player the year before and now I couldn't hit the ball. I was convinced that I would never be able to do anything again. It was a big blow to my confidence. Bryce's two older brothers were good at so many things, and he wondered what he could do now given his new handicap. Since he lived near the Tetons, he decided to give climbing a try. So he dropped by the local army store and bought nylon rope, carabiners, chalk, pitons, and other climbing necessities. He checked out climbing books and studied how to tie knots, hook up a harness, and rappel. His first real climbing experience was rappelling off his friend's chimney. Soon he began climbing some of the smaller peaks surrounding the Grand Teton. Bryce soon realized that he had a knack for it. Unlike many of his climbing partners, his body was strong and lightweight and seemed to be perfectly built for rock climbing. After training for several months, Bryce finally climbed the Grand Teton all by himself. It took him 2 days. Reaching this goal was a great confidence builder. Climbing partners were hard to come by, so Bryce began training on his own. He would drive to the Tetons, run up to the base of the climb, do the climb, run back down. He did this so often he became very good at it. One day a friend of his, Kim, said, "Hey, you ought to go after the record on the Grand Teton." He told Bryce all about it. A climbing ranger named Jock Glidden had set a record on the Grand by running to the top and back in 4 hours and 11 minutes. That's absolutely impossible, thought Bryce. I'd like to meet this guy someday. But as Bryce continued to do these types of runs, his times became faster and Kim kept saying, "You must go after the record. I know you could do it." On one occasion, Bryce finally met Jock, the superhuman, with the unsurmountable record. Bryce and Kim were sitting in Jock's tent when Kim, a well-known climber himself, said to Jock, "This guy here is thinking about going after your record." Jock gazed at Bryce's 125-pound frame and laughed aloud, as if to say, "Get a clue, you little runt." Bryce felt devastated, but quickly gathered himself. And Kim kept affirming him, "You can do it. I know you can do it." Early in the morning on August 26, 1981, carrying a small orange backpack and a light jacket, Bryce ran to the top of the Grand and back in 3 hours, 47 minutes, and 4 seconds. He stopped only twice, once to take rocks out of his shoes and once to sign the register at the summit to prove he had been there. He felt marvelous. He'd actually broken the record. A few years later, Bryce received a surprise call from Kim. "Bryce, have you heard? Your record has just been broken." "Of course," he added. "You need to get it back. I know you can do it." A man named Crichton King, who had recently won the heralded Pikes Peak Marathon in Colorado, dashed to the top and back in 3 hours, 30 minutes, and 9 seconds. On August 26, 1983, 2 years after his last assault on the mountain and 10 days after his record had been broken, Bryce stood in the Lupine Meadows parking lot at the base of the Grand Teton in brand new running shoes, ready and eager to break King's record. With him were friends, family, came and a crew from the local television station to film his run. As before, he knew the hardest part of the climb would be the mental aspect. He didn't want to become one or two or three who die each year while attempting to scale the Grand. Sport writer Russell Weeks describes running the Grand as follows. From the parking lot, you face a run of about 9 or 10 miles, up switchback trails, through a canyon, up two glacial moraines, two saddles, a gap between two peaks, and a 700-foot climb up the west wall of the Grand to the top. The rise and fall in altitude from the Pine Meadows to the top and back is about 15,000 feet. Leigh Ortenberger's Climber's Guide to the Teton Range lists the last 700 feet alone as a 3-hour climb. Bryce took off running as he ascended up the mountain. His heart pounded and his legs burned. Concentration was intense. Scaling the last 700 feet in 12 minutes, he reached the summit in 1 hour and 53 minutes and placed his verification card under a rock. He knew that if he were to break King's record, he would have to do it coming down. The descent became so steep at times that he was taking 10 to 15-foot strides. He passed some friends who later told him his face had turned purple from oxygen depletion. Another climbing party apparently knew he was going for the record because as he passed, they yelled, "Go, go!" Amid cheers, Bryce returned to Lupine Meadows with bleeding knees, thrashed tennis shoes, and one horrific headache, 3 hours, 6 minutes, and 25 seconds after he had left. He had done the impossible. Word spread fast and Bryce became known as the best mountain climber around. It gave me an identity, said Bryce. Everyone wants to be known for something, and so did I. My ability to climb gave me something to work for and was a great source of self-esteem. It was my way of expressing myself. Today, Bryce is founder and president of a very successful company that makes high-performance backpacks for climbers and mountain runners. Most important, Bryce is making a living doing what he loves to do and what he's good at, and has used his talent to bless his life and the lives of many others. By the way, the record still stands. Now, don't get any wild ideas. And Bryce still has that BB in his eye. So, my friends, if you need a shot of confidence, start making some deposits into your personal bank account, your PBA, starting today. You'll feel the results instantly. And remember, you don't have to climb a mountain to make a deposit. There are 1,000,001 safer ways. Coming attractions. Up ahead, we'll talk about the many ways in which you and your dog are different. Read on, and you'll see what I mean. Baby steps. Number 1, keep promises to yourself. Get up when you planned for 3 days in a row. 2, identify one easy task that needs to be done today, like putting in a batch of laundry or reading a book for an English assignment. Decide when you will do it. Now, keep your word and get it done. 3, do random acts of service. Sometime today, do a kind anonymous deed like writing a thank you note, taking out the trash, or making someone's bed. Number 4, look around and find something you can do to make a difference, like cleaning up a park in your neighborhood, volunteering in a senior citizen center, or reading to someone who can't. 5, tap into your talents. List a talent you would like to develop this year. Write down specific steps to get there. Talent I want to develop this year. Write it out. How do I get there? Write that out. Make a list of the talents you most admire in other people. Person. Tony Robbins. So these are just a few that I'd written. Make a list of the talents you most admire in other people. And then you can write what it is that you admire about them. So those are the baby steps that you can take. Keep promises to yourself, do random acts of service, and tap into your talents. You can also be gentle with yourself. Idea number 7, think about an area of life you feel inferior in. Now breathe deeply and tell yourself it's not the end of the world. Try number 8, try to go an entire day without negative self talk. Each time you catch yourself putting yourself down, you have to replace it with 3 positive thoughts about yourself. Renew yourself. Number 9, decide on a fun activity that will lift your spirits and do it today. For fun, turn up the music. For example, turn up the music and dance. Number 10, feeling lethargic? Get up right now and go for a fast walk around the block. And next step heading, be honest. Number 11, the next time your parents ask you about what you're doing, share the complete story. Don't leave out information meant to mislead or deceive. And number 12, for one day, try not to exaggerate or embellish. And that's the end of the chapter on that chapter. I'm just going to remind you what that chapter was on. The personal bank account. So the next chapter we're going to be getting into in our next session is being proactive. Habit number 1. Have a blessed day. It's a pleasure being here with you. And if you want to follow along in the reading on YouTube, just go over to YouTube and type in the handle at Menacole Transforms. Have a blessed day, and we will talk soon. Bye.